Hello everyone, I want to make a short video today. I'm going to be in 2 Kings 7. I'm going to read verses 3 through 11, I think, in the King James Version of the Bible. I have addressed this before, but I want to go a little different direction with it. So if you've heard it before, it's like I said before, I played in the band in high school. I marched in a lot of parades. I went to Lee High School. I didn't go to church. We'd march down the road. We played the same song down the road, down the street in Huntsville, over and over. And by the time we got to the end of the street, I was sick of it. But I had to realize that there was people at the end that hadn't never heard it yet. So maybe you've heard this, just bear with it, because maybe it's somebody that hadn't. And after all, I think I'm going to go a little different aspect of the thing. But it said, and there were 4 leprous men at the inner end of the gate. And they said one to another, why sit ye here till we die? If we say we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city, and if we die, and we shall die there. And if we sit here, we die also. Now therefore come and let us fall into the host of the Syrians. If they save us alive, we shall live, and if they kill us, we shall but die. And they rose in the twilight to go to the camp of the Syrians. And when they were come to the othermost part of the camp of the Syrians, behold, there was no man there. For the Lord had made the host of the Syrians to hear a noise of chariots, and the noise of horses, even the noise of a great host. And they said one to another, lo, the king of Israel has hired against us the king of the Hittites and the kings of the Egyptians to come upon us. They thought they were under attack, and when they arose, wherefore they arose and fled in the twilight, and left their tents and their horses and their asses, even to the camp as it was, and fled for their life. And when these lepers came to the uttermost part of the camp, they went into one tent, and did eat and drink, and carried thence silver and gold and raiment, and went and hid it. And came again and entered to another tent, and carried thence also, and went and hid it. When then they said one to another, we do not wail, this day is a day of good tidings, and we hold our peace. God don't want you holding your peace. He wants you to share with people. If we tarry till the morning, and we hold our peace. If we tarry till the morning light, some mischief will come upon us now. Therefore come that we may go and tell the king's household. So they came and called unto the porter of the city, and they told him, saying, we came to the camp of the Syrians, and behold, there was no man there, neither voice of man, but horses tied and asses tied, and the tents as they were. And he called the porters, and they told it to the king's house within. So that's my scripture today. Decisions. They made a decision, and decisions not only determine your eternity, but also your future while you're waiting on your eternity to come. I've lived in Madison County, Alabama, for almost all of my life, and I still get lost sometimes in some places I go if I don't have a very good GPS. But it's my fault if I know I'm going to that area that I don't know about, if I don't take the GPS and go by it and look at it. It's also a man's fault if he gets lost spiritually when he's got this GPS right here and won't use it. And I personally think it's not wise to have a GPS and not use it. Isn't it silly that God has took so much care to provide us with this roadmap called the Bible for you to grope around in the dark and waste 10, 15, 20 years or more, making permanent decisions about temporary situations. If I told you that I traded somebody my handkerchief for their car, you would think how silly that was of them. It would be like the dumb duck story that I tell. That wouldn't be a wise decision after all. But we trade eternity for nothing. I mean, after all, we got the coronavirus here, and this life is so uncertain from here on to the end. And we got eternity waiting on us, and still people are trading eternity for just a little of nothing. They were at the gate, the place of transition. They weren't in or out. They weren't here or there. We're on the edge, we're on the cusp, we're on the verge. Betwixt and between, you could go either way. I think about the rejection of the lepers. The fact that they were rejected made them candidates for God's use. Sometimes it's necessary to be rejected when you're rejected by man, then have to seek the approval of God. Nobody can worship God who worships something else, not yourself or anything. You have to become abased in your own eyes to do any good. The lepers' rejection by man made them the candidates for divine election, selection, and direction. Rejection can be the usher that will show you and position you to your new place and have you to take just the right place. When God disconnects you from the system, you then become a candidate to hear what he has to say about your future so that you can project yourself into another dimension. God's voice becomes crystal clear when no one else is talking. God let it rain down manna from heaven, but he did not bring the bread into the house. They had to go out the door and get it. He's raining stuff down. He's raining stuff down, but you got to go get it. God will not give much to do to a lazy man who's already made up his mind that he's not going to do anything. The 4 lepers said, "Why sit here we and die?" The real decision takes deliberation. I'm getting too old to do things that's not going to impact the next generation. If it's not going to make any difference in 6 months, then I don't really need to worry about it a lot. I don't need to worry about things that I'm not going to remember in 3 months. I have to save my strength for decisions that matter. But deliberating, if you stay in it too long, it'll lead to murmuring. Murmuring will lead to worrying. Murmur. It just repeats itself. That's the way people do when you ask them something. It's always, they just repeat the same things. Anytime you think about something over and over and rehash it again and again, then you have gone to worrying. It hinders your flow. Lepers said, "We can't deliberate over this any longer because not making a decision is making a decision." Lost people, they say, "I'm not going to make a decision today." Well, you just made one. Lepers have to make a move, and I'm tired of being threatened by life's threats and possibilities. Why sit here till we die? We have to make a decision, and not making a decision is a decision. Murmuring and complaining and sitting still just hinders your flow and it stops things up. And the lepers made up their mind if they died, they were going to die on the move and not sitting still. If death is going to catch you, let it catch you with your tennis shoes on and moving, because God is a moving God. In the beginning, it said God moved upon the waters. You need to understand when you get in God's will, he'll cause your enemies to be terrified of you like they were in the story of the lepers. The Syrians thought that a big army was coming. He can make your enemies think that you're bigger than you are. Most of the time, anyway, when people talk about you, they're really scared of you, seem like. The greatest compliment your enemy can give you is to try to fight you, because then he thinks you're something. The reason the homeless and the bag lady can walk up and down those dangerous streets is because robbers don't feel like they can do anything, like they've got anything. If there's a man in a 3-piece suit walking beside them, that's where they're going to attack. They just attack people they think's got something. So the very fact your enemy is attacking you signifies that they think you got something. The reason the enemies could be terrified of you is they don't see you as 4 stinking, smelly lepers, but as a mighty armor, and they will flee as Assyria did. It's a dichotomy that he will keep you in need so that you can be humble, but he will show you your enemy and make you appear mighty. Wouldn't it have been foolish for them to say to the enemy, "No need feeling scared of us. We just 4 lowly, smelly lepers"? Wouldn't it be foolish to let your enemy in on a secret like that when God's taking care of you? Don't tell the enemy how weak you are. If you don't want to be talked about, just don't do nothing. If you do something, you might make a mistake and somebody might get on to you. It's just little old me and I couldn't hurt anybody. Might be better just to be quiet and let them think that you're mighty. Just let it be between you and God. Just how afraid you really are. Transition is a difficult feeling because you hadn't got to your future, but you're already locked out of your past. It's an awkward place. It's like when I was lost. I didn't fit in with the lost people, and I didn't fit in with the children of God, and I was just in an awkward position. I was in transition. Transition is like people that have too much business to keep it in their house, but not enough to build a shop. When you're in transition, you have to remain quiet. If you don't remain quiet, you may blow it and say, you know what, I was thinking about opening up my own shop. Just keep quiet when you're in transition. Don't blow your element of surprise. Don't say nothing till you're ready. Being in transition is a scary feeling. You're not connected, but you're not disconnected. You are not any of them. And it's a scary feeling. You're vulnerable when you're like that. The lepers had to keep walking even when they didn't know if they were going to their destiny or to their death. That's what it takes, faith, just to keep walking when you don't know what's waiting at the end. You don't know if it's going to be the thing that's going to take you out or the thing that's going to take you in. You're in transition. You know, I imagine the leper said, you've been good to me, man. One of them said to the other lepers, I don't know if we're going to live or die, but you've been good to me, man. If I don't ever see no more, you no more. We've been close, man. You know, the lepers made a decision to share what they had found. You have to make a decision to go public and share your knowledge or hide it or hide what you found. I found out that, to me, I want to share with other people. I could say I had to grope around for it, you grope around for it. But I believe in my heart of hearts that God wants us to share what we got. What's up, Brother Dale? You ain't got very much to share. No, but what little I got, I'm going to try to share it with people. I've enjoyed this today. Our decisions will affect us, and there's no sense making permanent decisions about temporary things. I do want to share with people. I want to help people. I remember when I was called into the ministry. I've been over at church over 27 years, and when I was first called, I was already called into ministry, but I was sent to be over at church. I told the Lord, I said, Lord, if you'll help me in this transition, that if I see another young man that needs help, I will help him. And not only will I help them, I'd help anybody. I sure want people to help my children, and I sure want people to help me. So I'll help you. If at all possible, I will help you. And I think we ought to help one another. Heard that story about people had long spoons and they couldn't feed themselves. Couldn't get around, but they could feed the people across from them. And so that's what we need to do. If we got something on our spoon, we need to share it with other people. I love you. I think about helping people. And if I've helped you, let me know. And if there's anything I can do for you, until next time, we'll see you later.